So what's up guys, Tyler here with Secureteam. Before we get to the news stories of the day, I just wanted to take a quick few seconds to show you guys this really awesome gold play button that arrived via FedEx today at my house that commemorates passing the 1 million subscriber mark. YouTube sends these out. I remember, gosh, it was 2 or 3 years ago when I had just hit 100,000, and I remember how amazing that was. And they had eventually sent me the silver play button, which to this day I have sitting behind me up on the wall. And today they sent me this massive gold play button symbolizing just all of the hard work and the years that have gone by. And I just want to again thank all of you who tune in each day, or just whenever. Even if you tune in once every 6 months, once a year, I want to thank you for tuning in. You know, it's been a growing experience, and as the channel has gotten larger and larger, almost to the point where it's too much for me to even handle because I work alone. And, you know, as you grow, you become this large channel, which I don't even consider this a large channel. You know, you have a lot more people watching, you have a lot more expectations to make every video bigger and better than the last one. And as many of you know, and those of you who've been with me for years, the topic of UFOs and the research into it is one of the most painstaking processes that you will probably ever encounter. It's like no other topic or subject, and you know, it's just little teeny crumbs of evidence and pieces to the puzzle. And some days you'll get a bombshell, some days you'll get hardly anything, but I've done my best to try to post what evidence I do have, whether it turns out to be something or not. But today when this award came, it really did remind me and put back into perspective just how much I love this work, I love this search, you know, down the rabbit hole. This plaque here, to me, symbolizes how a tiny little channel that nobody had ever heard of or cared about could rise to over 1 million truth seekers strong, and love it or hate it, become one of the top UFO research outlets online, and that is something I'm proud of. So, to all of my friends here, I love you, I appreciate you, and to all of my haters, I want to thank you for watching and giving me all that much more of a reason to continue on in the face of those who maybe don't want the truth to come out. So even one day, if this channel is long gone and I'm back working at McDonald's, I could at least say, hey, we achieved something here. So thank you all, it means a lot. Now, in other news today, just some quick items here. A new report out by the New York Post, which has officially given Manhattan the moniker of the largest borough in New York that has the most UFO sightings of any other area, and is now leading the 5 boroughs in sightings of unidentified flying objects over the past 2 years, which comes from data at the National UFO Reporting Center. The reports collected include the time and the general place of occurrence, and according to the center's director, he says, quote, "Do I believe in UFOs? I absolutely believe. I believe what the data says. Read the cases and you come to the realization that these objects we've been calling UFOs for 70 years are being seen across the country and around the world on a daily basis." The group has cataloged more than 128,000 mysterious sightings worldwide since 1974. So yeah, it seems to me like all of you guys out of New York, and specifically Manhattan, you guys need to get on your game and get your cameras ready, because obviously there's something happening over New York, a lot of UFO sightings, and you know, it reminds me of a quote by the late great John Lennon, who once said, "If I had lived in Roman times, I'd have lived in Rome. Where else?" Today, America is the Roman Empire and New York is Rome itself. And so it kind of makes sense why New York would be receiving so many UFO sightings, because, well, if you were a visitor from another world and you wanted to surveil one of the central hubs and metropolises of planet Earth, I think New York would be one of the #1 places that I'd head to first. So everyone in New York, get your cameras ready and send me an email with that footage. Now, in other news, we have some new photographs that were recently taken over Kuwait, after eyewitnesses looked up to the sky and noticed this strange double swirl moving through the sky. One photograph in particular was snapped by an airline pilot from his plane, giving us this beautiful shot of this glowing object with what people are calling this double swirl, moving around the outside of it. Now, many believe this to be a separation stage or a fuel dump from the recent launch of the secret Zuma satellite that was allegedly lost, and we spoke about this in our last video. And that very well may be what we're seeing here. However, another thing that was pointed out was just how close this was to a commercial airliner, which again kind of makes you question why would they launch a rocket near congested airspace. But again, it could very well be the separation stage, but very interesting photos nonetheless. So, and of course, we still don't have any new information about that classified payload that they are saying failed to enter Earth orbit after launch. Did it really happen? The thing could be up there right now orbiting Earth, and they're just telling us it was lost. So who's to say? We'll never know. But I just think it's strange how this whole thing is going. I mean, you don't spend billions on a secret classified payload just to lose it like that. So I can't make heads or tails. But you guys let me know what you think down below. And next, we have a new piece of video coming out of Bolivia of what one man is calling giant footprints that were discovered embedded in the rocks in the community of Tomayapo, which is located in the high area of the Mendez municipality. Now, this was posted by the Facebook group OMG Bolivia, who stated, and again, this is roughly translated in the post, quote, "These giant footprints were found, according to lawyer Nilson Valdez, who is also a native of the Mendez province who found the prints, and a public video on social media on the find. He considers the area to be investigated. It would be good for the government to do the research on these tracks. The missing link of giants was always discussed, and indeed, surely these giants existed and existed in the department of Tarija. The place is undoubtedly surprising by the marks similar to a gigantic foot, and the area is expected to be explored, but also become a tourist area." Okay, so like I said, rough translation. But again, as you see in these videos, it's not just one single giant footprint. And it does look like a footprint. And you're seeing in this image here, we have the heel in the back and what kind of look like toes in the front. But we have multiple tracks leading up this rock hill here, almost like you would see from something walking, leaving prints in the dirt millions of years ago. And so without a doubt, we will have tourists and researchers to this site trying to figure out what these are. The myth of giants walking the earth was and continues to be a popular subject today, and maybe here soon I'll post a video about it discussing the history and the evidence that we have at our disposal to either prove or disprove the theory. So lastly today, I want to show you guys a UFO sighting that was just emailed to me by a man named Casey Swanson, who captured what he called a very strange triangular light formation gliding through the sky. So check this out.
Information. The fuck? Two were breaking off and going perfectly in parallel to each other.
Okay, so the first thing I asked Mr. Swanson after I saw this was, why did you stop recording right as the footage was starting to get good? And he basically said that he originally had to trim the footage down in order to share it on Messenger when he was sending it to a friend of his, And later on, before he could copy the original to his computer, he unfortunately had broken his phone and the footage was lost. So the only clip that he had was that he shared with a friend of his, which is what you're seeing here. But basically, he said that these objects came in a triangular formation, kind of rotating slowly, as you're seeing. And what was so fascinating to me and to him about this sighting was that at one point in the video, as you saw, one of the objects at the rear of the formation stops in midair and hovers in place while the other two objects in the front move forward as if they are locked in place, perfectly parallel to one another, and moving at the exact same speed. It also looks as if this rear object begins moving in the opposite direction as well from the other two. And the source of this said with 1000% that these were not Chinese lanterns, not helicopters, airplanes, or anything like that. These were intelligently controlled, and after watching this, I would have to say the same thing. Chinese lanterns, first of all, don't spin in formation. They don't stop in midair and then break off from one another, with two of them sitting side by side moving in one direction while the other one moves in the opposite direction. So I think it's an amazing capture, and I want to thank Casey again for sending it in. So with that, I want to thank you again for stopping by today. For about the millionth time, stay safe, and we'll see you back tomorrow.